There is no federal standard in the United States for what makes a yogurt Greek. Strained yogurt is a real thing with a real method. You take ordinary yogurt and drain the whey out of it, which concentrates the protein and thickens the texture. It takes roughly 3 to 4 times as much milk to make the same weight of finished product, which is why authentic strained yogurt costs more, and why it tastes the way it does. But the word Greek on a tub is not tied to that process by regulation. A manufacturer can reach the same thickness by adding milk protein concentrate, or starch, or gums, without straining anything. The result looks identical in the cup, sits in the same fixture, and carries the same word. 8 things in the yogurt aisle worth understanding, and 3 that hold up. Number 1 is a claim that appears on almost every tub in the case and has been the subject of federal enforcement. The item that surprised me is number 6, where the healthiest sounding version on the shelf is usually the one with the most sugar. Standard note before we start. This comes from federal standards of identity, labeling rules, enforcement actions on advertising claims, and the nutrition panels on the tubs themselves. Yogurt is a genuinely good food, and nothing here argues otherwise. I am describing what the words mean, not accusing anyone of a crime. Start with what yogurt actually is, because the definition matters here. Yogurt does have a standard of identity. It is milk fermented by 2 specific bacterial cultures, and that requirement is written into federal regulation. What is not specified is everything that comes after: how much sugar, what thickeners, whether fruit is real, or what the tub may be called. So the base is regulated, and the product built on top of it largely is not. Every item below lives in that gap. Number 8. The strain test. If Greek is not defined, the ingredient list is where you settle it. Real strained yogurt has a short one: milk, cream perhaps, and live cultures. That is the whole thing. A thickened yogurt tells on itself: milk protein concentrate, whey protein concentrate, cornstarch, modified food starch, pectin, gelatin, locust bean gum. Any of these appearing in a Greek-style product means texture was engineered rather than strained. None of those ingredients are harmful, and some are common in perfectly decent products. But you are paying a Greek premium, and the premium exists because straining wastes milk. If nothing was strained, the cost that justifies the price was never incurred. There is also a byproduct worth knowing about. Straining produces large volumes of acid whey, which is difficult to dispose of and has been a genuine industrial headache for the category. That is a real cost of doing it the real way. Number 7. Live and active cultures. All yogurt must be fermented with live cultures to be called yogurt. What is not guaranteed is that those cultures are still alive when you eat it, because some products are heat-treated after fermentation to extend shelf life, which kills them. Heat-treated yogurt has to say so on the label, and a voluntary industry seal exists specifically to certify a minimum level of living cultures at the time of manufacture, which is why that little seal is one of the few marks in the aisle doing real work. If living cultures are the reason you buy yogurt, look for the seal or the phrase "live and active cultures" and treat anything labeled heat-treated after culturing as a different product. Number 6. The low-fat sugar trade. This is the one that surprised me, and it is the most consistent pattern in the whole case. When fat is removed from yogurt, Flavor and mouthfeel go with it. The standard fix is sugar, so the fat-free flavored tubs, the ones positioned as the disciplined choice, in the pale packaging with the light-sounding names, frequently carry more added sugar than the full-fat versions beside them. The numbers get genuinely startling in the fruit-flavored single-serve pots, where a small tub can carry as much added sugar as a chocolate bar while sitting in the dairy case wearing the language of health. The label change that helps here already happened. Nutrition panels now separate total sugars from added sugars, and in yogurt that distinction is everything. Milk contains lactose, which shows up as sugar and was never added by anyone. Plain yogurt with 12 grams of total sugar and 0 added is a completely different object from a flavored one with 12 grams of added sugar on top. Number 5. Made with real fruit. The phrase is accurate, and it is doing less than it appears. Fruit preparations in yogurt are usually a fruit puree cooked with sugar, thickened with starch or pectin, and often colored, and the quantity of actual fruit involved can be small. The photograph on the lid shows whole berries. The ingredient list shows sugar high in the fruit preparation, sometimes above the fruit itself. Neither is a lie. They are just two different descriptions of the same tub, one aimed at your eye, and one required by law. Fruit on the bottom is the same product with the mixing left to you. It is not a different formulation, and it is not less sweetened. Number 4. Probiotic, and what it can legally claim. Probiotic is a marketing word in most contexts, not a regulated food category. The scientific definition requires specific strains at specific doses shown to produce a specific benefit, strain level, not species level, and dose dependent. Most tubs list species, not strains, and few list counts at end of shelf life rather than at manufacture. That is the gap between the shelf and the science. Some products do carry a named strain with published research behind it, and those are meaningfully different from a tub that simply says probiotic on the front. The way to tell is whether the package names a specific strain and gives you a number, which most do not. Number 3. Plant-based yogurt is not a substitution. Yogurts made from oat, almond, coconut or cashew occupy the same fixture and are read by shoppers as equivalent. Nutritionally, they are a different food. Dairy yogurt carries a substantial dose of protein, calcium, and other nutrients as a matter of course. Most plant-based versions carry far less protein unless it has been added, and the calcium is there only if the maker fortified it. Coconut versions in particular can be high in saturated fat and low in protein. Soy is the closest match on protein. The rest vary enormously between brands and formulations, and many are sweetened more heavily to compensate for flavor. They are perfectly good products for people who want or need them. They simply are not a like-for-like swap, and the panel is the only place that tells you which one you are holding. Number 2. The date. Yogurt is one of the most over-discarded foods in the fridge. The date on the tub is a quality estimate, not a safety cutoff. And yogurt is an acidic, actively fermented food, an environment that is hostile to the bacteria that cause illness. Unopened yogurt, kept properly cold, is routinely fine past its printed date, tasting more sour as the cultures continue their work. What you look for is mold, an off smell, or a strange fizz, not a number. A pool of liquid on the surface is not spoilage either. That is whey separating out, and stirring it back in restores both the texture and some of the protein you were about to pour down the sink. Number 1. The health claims on the front. Here is the claim territory that has drawn actual federal enforcement. A major yogurt maker settled with regulators over advertising that promised specific digestive and immune benefits, agreeing to stop making those claims unless they were supported by clinical evidence. That case is a matter of public record, and it reset how strongly this category advertises. The lesson generalizes. Structural claims about digestion, immunity, and gut health sit in a space where the language is permitted, but the specific promise is not, and the words on the front tend to hover just under the line the regulator drew. Yogurt is good for you. The evidence for fermented dairy in a normal diet is decent. What the evidence does not support is any single tub doing something a competing tub cannot. 3 that hold up. Plain yogurt is the entire category done properly. 2 ingredients, no added sugar, and it accepts whatever you put on it: fruit, honey, granola, salt, and cucumber. It costs less per serving than the flavored pots, and adding a spoon of jam yourself still lands you well under what the pre-flavored version contains. Real strained Greek yogurt earns its price when it is actually strained. Read the ingredient list, confirm nothing is doing the thickening but drained whey, and you get roughly double the protein of ordinary yogurt in the same spoonful. It also cooks better, standing in for sour cream or crème fraîche without splitting as readily. And whole milk yogurt deserves rehabilitation. The fat carries flavor, which means less sugar is needed to make it pleasant, and the research linking fermented full-fat dairy to poor outcomes is far weaker than the low-fat era assumed. If you have been buying fat-free flavored tubs, switching to whole plain is usually a straight improvement in both directions. The pattern across all 8 is consistent. The base product is regulated. The additions are not, and almost every claim in this aisle is either accurate or unregulated language, sitting just inside the rules. Nobody is lying. The tub is simply telling you a smaller story than the panel on the back. Buy it plain, add what you want, and check the added sugars line.